Okay, welcome back, everyone. This is part 3 of our talk with Katie Holland from Awakened Bellydance, and we are looking into the strategies that entrepreneurial parents can use for success. So welcome back, Katie.
Thank you.
Yeah, we are getting into the last topic,
Mhm.
all about different strategies. So there's 4 different strategies that we're going to take a look at. And the first one is around establishing boundaries. So I know from my experience, establishing boundaries can be something that evolves over time around things that really don't feel good. So you eventually move them out of your experience to create better boundaries for yourself and for clients or different projects and things that you work into your business. So what boundaries will you no longer cross that you used to?
Mm. Well, I know I said in one of the earlier interviews about I answer things quickly, messages or emails, and some things I'll take time. I always sleep on it these days. I won't be impetuous, and especially if it's something that's a bit tricky. So I guess I'm better at not rising to the bait, you could say, and stepping back and actually I'm going to sleep on this and really think about if I want to respond, for one, and do I need to, and how I'm going to respond. And instead of getting into a back and forth drama. I mean, it doesn't happen very often, but these things do come up. And also with those responses, just in generally, usually 7:30 at night, unless it's something, say, like I've got a one-to-one client, and yeah, like you said, emergency, then I usually don't reply in the evening now, and I leave it till the next morning. um and I think speaking out, really, because over the years I've had many people, almost replicate logos or names of events um or retreats. Like they've maybe worked with me on something and got all of the contacts, and then have suddenly set something up 2 weeks before mine the next year, and this kind of thing. So and often it's from the people that you trust the most as well. And at the start, I think this shocked me so much, because coming from this thing of my dad of be honest and have integrity, didn't even occur to me that people could behave in this way. I mean, maybe this is naive of me. um, and I found it very difficult to speak up and to say, hey, this I've really worked hard to kind of create this and do this, and it's coming from my sort of personal creativity and inspirations, and you can't just take it. So I started to speak up more, which of course then you get the dramas and things. Yeah, just to say, no, this is not okay for me. And even recently something happened like that, and I just made it very clear that no. And I think part of that as well is stating that when so, like, at the moment I've got a free online course happening. It's for 21 days. So um every day it's a different facilitator from Awakened Bellydance who has trained with me, and each time we all say, this is for your own process. This isn't a training. And so we state it, and there's no confusion. And I think that that's really important, to state your boundaries before they've been overstepped or you've allowed that in. If you're clear from the start, then there's no excuse from any side.
Right. Clearly communicating where the line is. It's very important.
Mm,
I like to
yeah.
make appointments. So if there is something that I need to do, let's say that the kids will respect that and they can work through whatever issues they have themselves, right? Even if I would put a sign on the door, or, right? Just to be absolutely clear. Like, hey, there's a call going on, right? Yet if my office door is open, it means I'm available, right? Because they can see me, I'm in the office, things are good. Yet if the door's closed, they can feel free and knock. Yet if there's a sign on the door, it's like, please don't knock. right? So
Yeah.
yeah, that clear
Yeah.
communication is quite important. And when it comes to
Mm.
keeping appointments and agreements with clients as well, that clear communication is really important. So that bridges between family and client work or the business, right? It's best to be clear. So then moving into this next topic of self-care, I've found over the years that many entrepreneurs don't know when to turn off the lights of the business. And we work from the early morning all the way until the dead of night. And then it's like this cycle that can just eventually burn you out. And with all of the restrictions that have come in over the past few years, it's really become like a topic in the mainstream about self-care. So how do you go about making time for yourself for self-care, and how exactly do you treat the body well and the family as well?
Yeah. I think I've never had that issue about not giving myself care. I, I go as much as possible. I'll go for massage, for osteopathy, homeopathy, depending on where I am. I'm always doing swaps with people as well, and I think this, when we were talking about having the different currencies, I think that this is also important to have skills that you can swap as well. Because if I meet somebody who's an osteopath, I can say, okay, I can do access bars for you or Reiki. Can we do an exchange? Or I can do a dance class, and and this works really well. In the next week, I've got 3 swaps lined up with different therapists, and it's brilliant. So yeah, so on that side, I've always found that easy, I guess, to gift to myself. With my children, as I spoke about in the other interviews, that often I had to go quickly for a booking, or I wouldn't maybe have much time with them at the times when most families are together. But then also, say with Christmas that I mentioned earlier, I would be really, really busy. And then from January the 1st, January, there's not really any shows, and people aren't going to classes really till end of January, early February. And it often ties in with school holidays. So I would say, right, where shall we go? Let's go somewhere for 3 weeks, and let's go and see orangutans in Borneo, or let's go to some temple or something over the other side of India, or a different beach, and let's go and live in a treehouse for the month. And so we then have these really beautiful times of traveling and having adventures together. And which, of course, as well, they'd have their own rucksacks. So I'd say you can only take as much as you can carry, because I can't take it all for you. And that means 1 book and 1 toy and 3 or 4 changes of clothes. And then we wouldn't really have a plan. We would just see where we went to, and we'd find a beach or somewhere in the mountains, and then find somewhere to stay, and then have more of an immersive time together. So I had that. I felt that that was a good balance for us, and yeah, to then be able to share experiences rather than buying material things. I always felt that I wanted to invest in what can we do instead of what can we have, and especially with moving a lot as well. Can't have lots of toys or lots of possessions, so it was more, yeah, what magical adventure can we have? Um, and yeah, and then through diet, and I mean, this goes into the boundaries as well. I think that for many, many years, I didn't have much sleep, because often I was finishing 3, 4, 5 in the morning. And so the kids would know that. They knew how to make breakfast for themselves. They could, manage at the weekends to take care for a few hours while I had a sleep, and they knew not to wake me up. And then over the years, I got more boundaried with, actually I need to sleep like when I was taking jobs as well, or I need to eat at this time, and I do need water, and not go for hours and hours without eating properly, or days of travel without eating like proper meals. Um so yeah, I really enjoy taking care of myself and eating healthily, and I'm vegan, and I try and have as organic as much as I can. And yeah, and that's also been since I was 19. The business began, and I changed my diet, and yeah, everything changed really in that year.
Yeah, I tend to agree with you on a lot of that as well. Like when it comes to the diet and the going to the sauna or getting a massage, when you have a lot of time on your hands and saying, okay, well, let's dedicate some family time here. Let's go on a holiday, right? Let's shift things up a bit, take a break, right? So that's expanding on experiences and sharing those with the family can be really some of the most fun that you can do besides you know what a lot of the kids nowadays they want more video games or they want uh, you know some digital currency to put into the digital video games right it's like let's go out and have some fun
Mm.
climb a mountain walk around be in the forest and just live a bit let's say having more of an office type experience from my end. Daily exercise is key, right? Either well, besides working out, like at the end of the day and every day, daily walking around, taking breaks and taking that 20-30 minutes walking around, or even like here in the Netherlands, everyone's on bikes and everything's flat, so you can go pretty fast, pretty far right? Spending that time outside, getting the sun on your skin and raising the heart rate and moving the body keeps everything quite active. That and getting on that good circadian rhythm with sleep.
Mm.
And you know, when we're younger, it's not much of a big deal. You can bounce back really quick. Yet, you know, as you get older, having that good pattern of oh, it's midnight. That's my number 0000. I'm heading to bed. You know, not staying up late scrolling or watching that extra episode or whatever it is that's not
Yeah.
and that can be paused, right? Yet when there is those times, let's say those extra times, so you can try new activities with the kids, like push the envelope a little. I mean, some of the coolest times I had was like surfing in Bali or hang gliding in the Alps in Switzerland. I mean, you know, pushing the envelope and having some extreme sports, which is kind of my thing to do, or even just like a hobby with your partner or your family can be really rejuvenating and great for that emotional well-being as well to kind of get out of the digital spaces and get back into the physical nature. It can be a real present, a real
Yeah.
gift for the family, and that really support you in stepping back and gaining a little outside perspective from that main thing that you're really driving all of the time. So yeah, when it comes to self-care, it seems like you've got a really nice way of going about it with spending time on experiences and not as much on the things. Uh,
Mm.
that was something that I figured out very early on as well. In like early 20s, it's like, no, I want to go out and walk around the planet and let's see what's going on. Right? That's where school is. That's the playground. Let's.
But yeah, exactly. And saying like going to Borneo with the orangutans. I mean, we did these trips on a shoestring, backpacking and staying with local families and public transport, and all ways that we had to negotiate and that we might not know exactly which bus to take or where the train was going. And yeah, and it's been so amazing. And I still travel like that now as well. And it was never going to like package resorts or anything like that. It was yeah, it was like how can we experience this in the realist way?
Right. And then you can really get back to nature, be closer to the
Mm,
tribal people, right? And have a more real
yeah.
experience. Yeah, so yeah, that all sounds really amazing. So taking a look at this third part here about delegating or outsourcing some of the workload, let's say. Have you encountered that at all, or how have you managed to incorporate that so that you could delegate some of the responsibility, yet still maintain it or even grow that part of the business.
Yeah, for again in the time in India when I was so busy, as I said, traveling and performing, um, my mum was doing my newsletter for me. So every month she would do this. I gave her the information or the photos that we needed, and then she would put it together. I would check it, and then it was sent out. So at that time for me, that was beyond helpful. It really, yeah, it was something that I couldn't manage. And then when I left India and I was able to manage my time in a better way, I started to do that for myself as well. And of course, you made me a brilliant template for my newsletter, which saves me masses of time. Every time I go to design, well, not design it, but I put the information into your design, I just think, oh, thank you. I don't have to do it from scratch. And in the same way with my website and the booking system that you put into that, yeah, all of that, and just making everything run more smoothly, and again, so that I don't have to deal with this technical side and the updates. And yeah, I think you're my biggest delegation right now.
Right.
Yeah, you this last, I guess it's 6 months, 8 months, it's really helped, and people's response to the updated website and the logo, the energy shifted so much, and it was really what I needed to kind of keep going forwards with things.
Yeah, there's a lot more technical aspects that everyone is either expected to understand or it's time to start delegating, right? And technology is moving so fast, there's a lot to be expected. And so at some point, even for me, developing or even designing sites, I'm seeing AI come in. And the concept at first was that it would be going after physical labor first and then more executive and high income roles, and then finally go after the creatives. And so, what is actually happening is it's in reverse, right? So, it's going after the creatives first. And luckily
Mm.
for you, it's not out there dancing and performing. So that is a wonderful thing.
Yeah.
For artists,
Yeah.
it's already creating images. And for writers, it is pretty much doing it a lot more quickly and efficiently, effectively. And I'm seeing that it's coming into the web design space as well. So when it comes to
Mm.
delegating, I am looking to use AI instead of just pushing it away because it's coming. So, well, let's see what it has to offer. And so
Yeah.
now I can create a lot more content with a lot less effort just by understanding how to prompt and use it strategically to get out the message that I'm looking to get out. And then I see it also wants to start doing web design. So I'm like, okay, right, we're gonna have to see how this, how to incorporate it, right? So
Yeah, that's really a huge thing to infiltrate. I mean, yeah.
it's time to navigate those waters because it's here. Yet, when it comes to more,
Mm.
let's say on the physical side, so when the kids around the house can do chores around the house to help out and then get like an allowance for
Yeah.
that, that takes some work away from mom and dad so that we can have more time for either business or family time. And my partner and I have agreements of what our responsibilities are and around the house, and also when it comes to business and that, and how we can support each other so that we can focus on our strengths and the things that we enjoy. And then we can do that even more by leaning into our strengths to support the partner.
Yeah.
And then when it comes to business and like I said, I used to keep things really close to my chest. Yeah, which now it's only the things that I really enjoy. So when it comes to client calls and we're looking at like visual design, that type of thing, everything else I'm going to delegate. So if it's like admin or emails or right, just all that business stuff, even like finances. And I mean, my dad was an accountant, so I inherently learned how to work with my own finances. Yeah, at some point things get so complex, and it's not like in the system I grew up in. It's like the Dutch system, and so it's important to really get those things right because some of the words can be like 36 letters long. It's like, what is this? And then, yeah, right, trying to translate to get the finances right. No, just kind of get an accredited accountant to make sure the business is taken care of. Right, that also makes things lighter for business, and then you have more time to enjoy with the family as well, right? So
Yeah.
I found it to be quite imperative at some point in the business, and then it can make more time for things that you enjoy, and that includes family as well.
Yeah, and I did the same thing with my children as well about the pocket money, and if you sweep the floor each day or hang out your school uniform to and so they had these little responsibilities, and I think this is also really important that they yeah, they understand what's involved, and that you as the parent, it's impossible to do everything and run a business. And also with childcare as well, I see that as the, yeah, you're paying somebody, but it's like, yeah, you're kind of delegating this time for that person to take care of your child, and how, yeah, I think this can also be of benefit because they're maybe with other children if they're looking after several, and they've got that social interaction, and then how, yeah, that they bring that home with them. So I just got distracted because lots of things just started popping up on my screen. It's like,
Notifications, right?
yeah, it's like, stop. Um, yeah, and I think the having people that could support me with childcare was also massive when they were small, because I couldn't have gone to work otherwise. So it was like the chicken and egg situation of, well, if I don't do that and someone else take care of them, then how will I pay for this? And so if I stay home with them, but and it's like, well, what can you do? And also finding ways to make that work. And over the years, so many people helped me just in so many different ways. And now, just recently, this last month, there's been two situations where I felt that I could help different people in the same way, and in a way that was like I could just give, and and it was totally okay. There didn't need to be an exchange, or there didn't have to be any kind of agenda or anything. And I thought, wow, I remember so many people doing this for me over the years, and especially related to my children. And it's so beautiful now to be that I can also do that.
Yeah, that's some of the good energy that's coming back around that you can choose to step into,
Mm,
right? It's wonderful how those
mm,
moments you can at the first time receive, and then at the next time you're able to give, right? It's
yeah,
a nice, beautiful perspective that you can gain. Oh, that felt so nice to receive. How about I give this time?
yeah, from the giving.
Right, right. So we've got one more thing to discuss, and then we're going to wrap
Mhm.
up the entire thing. And this is the last strategy, and it's around communication and support. So, looking at it from a
Mhm.
strategic perspective, what types of strategies around communication and support do you use on a daily or a weekly basis to make sure that you get things done, yet still have that balanced time for yourself and your family life?
Mm. I guess it's a bit of a mix of everything that we've already talked about, and yeah, it's like there's bits of everything in what we've said already. And I think now as well, as I said, my children aren't living with me physically, but we have a cat. And all these years of travel, I was really, this was probably the one thing I was really strict, was no pets, because we
Right.
couldn't take them with us. Anyway, the last year and a half, we have this very cute little kitty, and it's like having a toddler again. And so I have to really make sure that each day, or several times a day, that I'm kind of giving her attention,
Right.
because she really lets me know if I'm late with this, or it's the few hours have gone by and she's not been touched or something. And I think this has been a really good lesson for me in seeing, okay, actually I need to stop now and just sit with her for a bit and stroke her and talk to her and take a break. So I guess when I'm working at home, she's like my gauge at the moment of how I formulate things through the day.
Right.
And yeah, and I've been really enjoying it. And yeah, and she chats back. So it is really like a toddler learning to talk.
Yeah, when I was also doing a lot more travel, that was also one of the really important rules. It's like there's no pets, because it just creates that very complex environment where, okay, this situation is making sure that I can't go out. And so, and then the feeling bad about if you don't have some place that your pet could be, that's not in some, pet prison or like kennel or, right? They actually care for the animals. It's a very
Mm,
complex solution sometimes that would be needed. So we would always say, okay, no pets. Yet, like traveling less and less over the past few years, it really opens up a lot more chances for that. Yet, when it comes to having the kids around and doing our best to also have spaces for work and dedicated time for that, especially when the kids are around. There is 3 teenage boys, so there's sometimes it can be a lot of wildness, you know what I mean, but other times
mm,
it can simply be quite relaxed because they're just going to do this, and it's like, okay, well, let's go outside, right? Yes. For me, I like to do a morning check with the family, see what the plans are, see what everyone wants to do today, and then let them know my schedule, so that when it applies, how things can overlap and we can do that planning. Yet also having a calendar, like a family calendar that's printed out and with dates of everyone's activities on it, so that at a glance we can just know what's going on without having to be constantly in touch, or need them to be around to know what's going on as well. That's really worked as well, because life nowadays goes so fast and the kids are growing up and everyone's either starting jobs, right? Or have very active school or social lives. And so, uh,
mm,
yeah, the aligning is much easier when there's different structures that you have in place. And then over time, the kids come to expect that as well. Oh, okay, well, we're going to check in the morning and make sure, I'm not expected to do something, or there are no other plans, so that I have a free day and I can do whatever I want. Right, that communication with a family is very important, so that you have that uninterrupted time so that you can focus, and then also creating the planning so that you can get some support on projects that really need it. If there's any delegation needed there by a family as well, you can
mm.
as free time, and then, okay, well, it's going to be you and me, we're going to do something. Right? So it's like you can build it in as a strategy with the family. Everyone can get a lot of the time doing the things that they really enjoy, yet there's still, family dinner, and lunch can be wild all over the place. Yet, and breakfast as well. It's like, but we're gonna have family dinner. It's something that really resonated with
Yeah,
me when I was younger, and it's something I like to share with the family as well now still, right? For that daily checkup. How was your day? What really happened? Right? How did you do with this thing or that topic? And as well to share things about the business experience, right? So yeah, anything else you'd like to share around the different strategies that you use?
Yeah, I was remembering again when they were small, and I think part of the strategies, it depends on the country that you're living in, because some cultures are much more organized and structured than others. So, so like to make a play date in England, you probably need to do it 2 months in advance.
Wow.
Whereas in somewhere like Goa or Bali, it's like, okay, let's do it.
It's in
And
the moment.
yeah, and the three main places I've lived, like now in Egypt, and then yeah, Bali and Goa, um, adults and children, it's all very spontaneous. So not only to have gigs, but okay, there's going to be a concert, right? Let's go. Or I want to go to this, like my friend's house, okay, and it just happens. Or oh, all the kids from the class are going swimming after school. Like, let's go. And so I suppose it's the communication, of course, because in that chaos, there has to be a communication of, right, you're going to be there, I'm going to be here, I'm going to get you at that time, and or this parent is going to take you, you're going to have a sleepover. All right, I'm going to be at work, and so for me, with my children, it was more in that way, and okay, let's grab each other, let's go for a picnic, and it would be, yeah, again in that moment. And now that they're older, they're 23 and 20 now. So when I go to England and I see them and my parents and family, and also I have work. So generally, I try to keep it that Thursday to Sunday, I have work, and then Monday to Wednesday, I'm free. Or if I might have a private client, I'll do it in the daytime. So I've got the evenings free because, of course, they're working. So we have this communication, and then I keep that time open, and then any other gaps that we get at the weekend or something, we can also hang out with each other. So yeah, it was just as you were saying it, and I was thinking, remembering talking to friends that have got children in England or even now, and hearing them talk with young children, and thinking, oh wow, in India this was, yeah, it was just like boom boom boom. This is, you'd have your swimming stuff with you all the time.
Right. Yeah. It seems to be that when you're living more in the moment, uh, things can happen spontaneously, and there's a lot more of that entrepreneurial aspect around, let's say, time management and flexibility, and that work-life integration, and even the communication and the boundaries, right? And that unpredictability, they're all kind of wrapped up into the moment, so in a very organic way. And
Mm,
so creation is done in the moment versus like in a more Western approach, planning things out. Yeah, and then how you said in England, and I know from firsthand from planning with more of like a German perspective, they like to go a full year in advance and plan out things. And that for me is really quite
yeah.
wild. It's like how I have what? Right? I'm an entrepreneur. It's like tomorrow is going to be different. I have no idea. Right. So yeah, I really go for more of that in the moment flexibility and that time
Mm,
management with the goal orientated focus in the moment so that if there are things that come up, well, that they can be tackled and fulfilled in the moment. But if not, then it's more of an organic type of feel to it where if there is some more time, well, then let's see what the kids are doing and let's create an activity outside. Let's go, let's go hop in the car and go to the beach or, whatever it is. So, yeah,
mm,
that's really a big difference between, let's say, the East and the West, looking at
yeah.
how to balance that work life along with being an entrepreneur as well. You see it all kind of come together like that. So
Yeah. And for what you said about the year in advance, I mean, now that travel is more open, I'm getting back to more how I was before all of that. And for all of the spontaneity that I have and the flow with things, I am mostly working a year ahead because of booking flights or and things also being promoted and marketed and everything. When it's retreats, it has to be at least 8 months in advance. So already for next year, I've got things planned for September, October, for the spring, and throughout the winter. But often I find within that things kind of shift around as well. But I'll have certain times of year, say that I'm teaching in England and Europe, certain times of year that I go to Zanzibar and do stuff in the winter. So I follow the sun and the sun and the blossoms. And yeah, how can I make it work with the weather that I like and the and the beach as well?
Yeah, that's definitely a really fun way to do it. Follow the sun. I was
Mm.
lucky enough to be down in Australia during the winter in the Northern Hemisphere. And so it was traveling in Southeast Asia, and that was really warm and sunny. And then going down into summer, right, because Southeast Asia was more along the line of the equator area, and then going down into summer, and then coming back up to the equator, and then going back home for a few months, and then being summer there. That was definitely a nice, really great way to
Yeah.
just stay in your sandals and just really enjoy, you know.
Yeah, I get a bit traumatized when I have to put socks on. Oh
Yeah,
no.
like there's coats.
Yeah, it's like there's just too many layers and it's all thick and yeah, you can't
Right,
move.
right, yeah, it's restrictive, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so Katie, definitely thank you so much for the time and really illuminating us
Thank
all
you.
on all of the challenges, the opportunities, the different strategies that you were able to share with us and the experiences as well. I know it's definitely been really quite insightful for me as well to both hear about your experiences and also bring up all of the different systems and methods and techniques that I use as well when working with the family life and balancing that with the entrepreneurial aspect. So definitely thanks for your time and really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Be sure to check out Katie's YouTube channel and all her social media as well with Awakened Bellydance. And we will definitely put those links in the description below. Also for Mindstate, be sure to like and subscribe. So definitely again, thanks Katie for coming on and hope to speak to you again soon.
Yeah, thank you so much.
All right. Ciao.
Bye.